Hey, happy after Hanukkah. Chaim Alevsky here on Facebook Live. Just want to show you my Hanukkah shirt. And here it is. It's backwards, but it says the original Kindle. Anyway, welcome back. It's been a while. I am now using, I got a Smooth, S-M-O-V. It's a little handheld gadget. It's supposed to balance the phone better. We'll find out if it's working or not. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about a few things. Tonight is a very special day in the Chabad calendar. By extension, the world calendar. It's Hey Teves. It's the 5th day of Teves. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but you can look it up. The world is celebrating. In 1987, there was a whole situation with the Rebbe's library being questioned in the courts whether or not it belongs to the Rebbe and to the Chabad. And it turned out in the federal courts of America that the Hasidic books and the library of the Rebbe's are one with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe is one with the Hasidim. And it was a very spiritual, powerful case. And the Rebbe learned a powerful lesson from that. I'll tell you right now, that's related to this week's Torah portion. So Joseph, one of our ancestors in Egypt, when he revealed himself to his brothers, he said to them, instead of getting angry at them, he said to them, Lo atem shalachtem otihena, kim Elokim. It wasn't you who sent me here. It was God. And the Rebbe explains from this that when somebody goes through a situation, even if it's a negative situation in their life, after it's over, tell the world about it and find the lesson, find the blessing within. Because Yosef said to his brothers, if you had not sent me here, then I wouldn't be able to help you now. So when you sent me, it really helped you in the end. So it wasn't you, it was God who made this happen. So the Rebbe said, let's learn a good lesson from every situation in our life, even if it's Elokim, Ki Elokim, even if it's a negative one. Because we know that in the names of God, there's Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and there's Elokim. Hashem, the 4-letter name, Yud Hey and a Vav and a Hey, represents mercy and kindness, and Elokim represents Gevura, strictness, judgment. So even when it's a negative, let's find the positive within. That was that. So now, moving on to a lesson. So the Rebbe said also about the books, the fact that the books were being contested, whether or not they belong to the Rebbe and to the Hasidim, must be a lesson for us. That we're not using them enough, or we're not spreading them enough. We're not spreading the light and the teachings of Hasidus enough. So the Rebbe encouraged us to do that. Spread the light, learn more, teach more, spread the light of Hasidus more than you've done before until now. I'm going to move on to one of the lessons of this week's Torah portion that the Rebbe says, which is really interesting, which I find fascinating. You can see this in the Thought for the Week in Chabad.org, which was written by, the Rebbe's thoughts were written by Rabbi Meir Kagan from Detroit, of blessed memory, many years ago. And the Rebbe says that the Torah describes Yosef when he sent his children, when he sent his brothers back to Israel to bring his father. He sent them the choicest b'mivchar, the choicest foods of Egypt, as gifts. And what were these choicest foods? Rashi brings 2 explanations. One was split peas, and the other one was vintage wine, old wine. So the Rebbe says we could learn a lesson from both of these, split peas and vintage wine. And the lesson is as follows. From split peas, the Rebbe said that Yosef was sending a message to Yaakov, his father, that I understand that you're going to be so happy to see that I'm alive when the brothers come and tell you that I'm alive. You're going to be so happy. But you're also going to be saddened when you understand and hear the story that it was they who sold me and who separated me from you for 22 years. So the Rebbe said Yosef was sending a message to his father saying, don't be upset. Some things, in order for them to fulfill their potential in this world, they need to be split. They need to be separated and divided. Split peas. And because we were split and separated, that's why I was able to help your family and by extension the world. The second gift was wine, vintage wine. The Rebbe says that the Torah describes how the brothers didn't drink wine, and Yosef, all of them, didn't drink wine for the last 22 years, ever since they've been separated from him. And in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, when they met, they sat and they drank wine. And Rashi says they drank wine there, but they hadn't drank wine for the last 22 years because they were all in mourning. So too Yaakov didn't drink wine because he was in mourning probably the most about his loss of his son. So Yosef sent a bottle of vintage wine, of old wine, 22-year-old wine, to be exact. That's my little twist. But the Rebbe says that he sent him old wine, saying, number one, here's wine from me, from Yosef, the cause of your sorrow. It's number one. But number two is, look, I put away a bottle of wine 22 years ago, and I prepared it for the time that we'll be together. And here it is. Here's the bottle of wine that symbolizes the faith that I had that God will reunite us again, whenever it will happen. So here's old wine, vintage wine. That's a powerful message that I thought was worth sharing. And also it's related to another little Hanukkah miracle, big Hanukkah miracle, that Rabbi Rubashkin was freed from the prison for the anti-Semitic charges. And I know there's the story behind it, but it was definitely way beyond anybody's imagination, and fueled by anti-Semitism. And what I found fascinating was that the whole world over was dancing and celebrating when they found out about his release on Hanukkah a few days ago. But there was one thing that caught my attention even more, and that was that there's a yeshiva in Toronto that put away a bottle of vodka, and it was sealed, and it has a transcription all around it saying, we will open this until Mordechai Rubashkin gets out, is freed. And they took out that bottle 8 years and 8 months and 8 days later. They opened it and they said L'chaim. Awesome. L'chaim, and have a good Shabbos and spread the light.